Welcome to today's segment of The Wall, where I introduce you to one of these lovely humans that have been put on my wall. And the reason they were put on my wall in the first place is because there was a specific moment when they inspired me to be more than I currently was. And I wanted to make sure that every day when I showed up for work and did my things and interacted with people and did my studies, that I remembered from these people who it was that I ultimately wanted to be. So today, I want to talk about the amazing C.S. Lewis. Let's find him. Here he is right here. He's, oh, that's not him. Gal Gadot, also appreciate here. C.S. Lewis right next to Jesus. He's got some good placement going on there. But C.S. Lewis is amazing. And I actually, I'd always heard of C.S. Lewis, random quotes. But it was a little bit more than a year ago when I bought this book on Amazon. And it was just the complete C.S. Lewis signature classic. So I just down C.S. Lewis. I just really, C.S. Lewis, C.S. and I, we spent some time together for a while. So it was Mere Christianity, Screwtape Letters, Abolition of Man, Great Divorce, one of my favorite books of all time. The Problem of Pain, Miracles, and A Grief Observed. And so A Grief Observed, it's kind of a lesser known C.S. Lewis book, but it's the last one in this collection. So it was the last one that I read. And even though the Screwtape Letters is a little bit more popular, Mere Christianity, this book, A Grief Observed, had a principle and a truth in it that just blew my mind. And this is what he said. So A Grief Observed, he's talking about the context of it is he's lost his wife. And so he writes throughout this horrific grief that he is going through. And first of all, from a literary standpoint, it's beautiful. It's terrible, but it's beautiful, and you're just oh my gosh, these things that I've felt or seen, there are finally words to it. But he teaches us one thing, and a lot of the things, so he's this faith-driven man, believes in God, and a lot of his writings are about God. He wrote Chronicles of Narnia, in case you're wondering. But he was writing about trying to understand why did she have to go? Why did God have to take her? And he's just asking these questions over and over again, and he just can't get peace, and he can't get peace, and it's just this whole thing over and over again. And finally, he's sitting there, he's doing his studies one day, and all of a sudden it dawns on him that maybe God isn't answering his prayer, not because he doesn't want to, and not because he's shutting him out, but literally because he can't answer it. And C.S. Lewis goes on to explain, he says, I think that so many of the questions that we ask our divine creator, that we ask God to answer for us, he doesn't answer simply because we ask unanswerable questions. So he starts to give examples. He's if we ask God questions such as, why is yellow round? Why is the color yellow round? He literally can't answer the question because it doesn't even make sense, right? Is yellow round or square? I think that's how he described it. And he literally can't, God cannot answer the question, is the color yellow round or square? Because he can't, it doesn't even make sense, the question. And so he had this epiphany that maybe a lot of these questions he was asking about his wife and why she had to go and why certain things had to happen and why bad things are going on in this sequence after he'd done all the things. It wasn't necessarily because he didn't want to answer him, and it wasn't necessarily because he didn't care about him or he wanted him to suffer. It was simply a matter of he didn't know the words to ask the right questions. And I think that just totally gave me some amazing foundation in realms of my own spirituality. But I think about that oftentimes when I do coaching or business. So often we get so stuck on these things where it's why is this happening? Or why isn't this working? Or even why isn't this product selling? Or what's going on? When in reality, we're asking the wrong questions. And more often than not, the answer comes when we start asking ourselves the right questions. And anyway, when I read that principle, it just shattered my current framework of how I understood God to communicate with me and ultimately how I started to communicate with other people. So anyway, that's a good C.S. Lewis for you. Go check him out. He's amazing. But that concludes another segment of The Wall.